Alright, well, it's way too cold to be doing videos out on the chairs, but I got no gondola by myself, so I'm going to try to go run down 5 trends Canadian businesses need to know about cybersecurity. At the end of last year, the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity and CSE, essentially our version of the NSA, released their National Cyber Threat Assessment for 2025 and beyond. Cyber threats are not only evolving, but becoming more sophisticated and intertwined with geopolitical and global conflicts. While much of the report focused on the threats at a national security level, I'm going to break it down to what matters to businesses who are often caught in the crossfire. So let's get into it. So the first trend is artificial intelligence technologies are amplifying cyberspace threats. AI is revolutionizing and disrupting every facet of our society. To no surprise, cybercriminals are also digitally transforming and leveraging AI to enhance their quality, scale, and precision of their attacks. AI combined with automation and orchestration technologies are enabling cybercriminals to launch sophisticated, highly targeted attacks at volumes we have never seen before. Generative AI is amplifying cybercriminals' capabilities. It enables the creation of bespoke attack collateral, such as indistinguishable phishing emails and fake websites. Deepfake audio and video can be generated in real time, making it nearly impossible to distinguish real from fake. Cybercriminals are exploiting this to deceive employees, execute scams, and even infiltrate companies by faking identities in remote hiring. So what do businesses need to know about this trend? Seeing does not necessarily mean believing anymore. Businesses will continue to see cybercriminals bypassing their sophisticated cybersecurity tooling, instead targeting and exploiting the users and employees who have access and authority to inadvertently do harm to the business. This is an authenticity crisis that extends far beyond passwords. Businesses need to recognize that financial systems and their privileged access are prime targets. Implementing human authentication measures like out-of-band communication and challenge phrases is critical to staying ahead of attackers. Alright, trend number 2 is cyber threat actors' tradecraft is evolving to evade detection. IT environments are becoming increasingly complex, burdened by legacy configurations and heritage IT, making security and sustainability unattainable. Despite security investments, unresolved technology debt leaves businesses exposed, and attackers are taking full advantage. The IT is a cost center, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it dogmas have resulted in companies keeping heritage IT well beyond their best before dates. Technologies, such as VPNs, have not aged well due to elderly code bases, acquisitions, and a lack of investment in sustaining the software. This has resulted in a disproportionate number of vulnerable devices that are at the edge of your organizations and the gatekeepers to critical business systems. Hard on the outside and soft and yoky on the inside, many companies invest heavily on hardening their external perimeter but fail to harden internally. Lack of access controls, immature identity and access management, and misconfigured data stores such as SharePoint are treasure troves and are quite porous. Attackers are leveraging IT administration skill sets and native tooling such as Microsoft PowerShell to live off the land and compromise IT environments without the use of hacking tools. This means they're hiding in plain sight, and hackers are bypassing fancy cybersecurity tools and taking advantage of the less secure insides of the business's IT environment. So what do businesses need to know about this trend? Repeat after me, IT is not a cost center, it is the business at this point. Companies must recognize that ensuring IT is supportable, maintainable, and resilient is not an option. Reducing the attack surface by eliminating heritage IT and outdated architectures simplifies administration and strengthens resiliency. A streamlined IT environment makes it easier to harden systems inside and out, limiting attackers' ability to use native tooling and exploit weak internal security. The key is to simplify, reduce exposure, and plan for worst-case scenarios because bad things will happen and recovery is everything. Now on to Trend 3, geopolitical-inspired non-state actors are creating unpredictability. Ongoing global conflicts have turned cyberspace into a battlefield where state and non-state actors are waging information and cyber warfare. Even businesses with no political ties are at risk of becoming collateral damage in these geopolitically motivated attacks. Unlike traditional warfare that targets military assets, cyber warfare is all about disruption, hitting civilian infrastructure and businesses where it hurts most, with maximum visibility and chaos to society. Trying to attribute cyber attacks to states or non-state actors or cybercriminals is a fool's errand. The lines are intentionally blurry. Non-state actors align with state interests. State actors use false flags to obscure their involvement. And in the end, it doesn't matter. An attacker that disrupts a business is still an attacker, and solving the murder mystery does nothing to bring the business back online. So what do businesses need to know about this trend? The internet is becoming increasingly hostile, and cyber hacktivism and digital vigilantism are no longer solely driven by financial gain, refocusing on destruction and disruption campaigns. Businesses must acknowledge the fragility of their data, their processes, and their systems, prioritizing strategies to improve capabilities to operate in a degraded state and recover swiftly. Adding to the challenge, most cyber insurance policies excludes acts of war, further complicating risk management strategies. Trend 4. Vendor concentration is increasing cyber vulnerability. Businesses and the apps they rely on are increasingly run on the same infrastructure, creating a dangerous single point of failure. A decade of outsourcing IT to the cloud has led to an over-reliance on providers, making outages potentially more disruptive. Large service providers are prime targets for sophisticated attacks. A breach at a large service provider can cascade into thousands of compromises to business, resulting in non-targeted companies becoming collateral damage. Large cloud service providers know they are prime targets, but their sheer scale and complexity make it nearly impossible to identify and patch every vulnerability before a sophisticated attack may strike. Businesses that move to the cloud for reliability have ignored providers' warnings to build for resiliency. While cloud infrastructure is highly reliable, it isn't infallible. Those who fail to address such vulnerabilities and strengthen their own business resiliency will face severe disruption when the so-called never offline cloud faces inevitable thunderstorms. So what do businesses need to know about this trend? Cloud has helped businesses shed legacy and heritage IT, improving efficiency and, when done right, security as well. However, complacency has set in due to its convenience and perceived reliability. Beyond cyber threats, vendor concentration poses financial risks, making businesses overly dependent on systems they don't control. To strengthen resiliency, companies must explore alternatives and diversify their cloud strategies as part of their business continuity planning. And Trend 5 is dual-use commercial services that are in the digital crossfire. Military and governments worldwide are increasingly relying on public infrastructure to supplement or replace legacy systems. This dual-use dynamic blurs the lines between military and civilian targets. Adversaries have demonstrated both intent and capability to attack such infrastructure, posing serious threats to civilian and critical infrastructure. The rise in accidental submarine cable cuts is no coincidence. These cables are lifelines for global communications, business, and government operations. Disrupting them, whether intentional or not, undermines commerce, cripples international business, and fractures global connectivity. By its nature, the cloud serves private, commercial, and government users. In an era of escalating cyber warfare, whether we acknowledge it or not, targeting and disrupting these services is part of any military strategy and will cause massive collateral and economical damage. Low Earth orbit satellite internet has bridged the digital divide, connecting remote areas with civilization. However, its use in military conflicts makes it a high-value target, and it's not just internet access at risk. GPS, a critical shared military and civilian service, has been heavily targeted in conflicts like the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Disrupting these services could cause widespread chaos, impacting everything from navigation to global communications to commerce and even how we track time. So what do businesses need to know about this trend? For businesses, cybersecurity isn't just about protecting data and systems, it's about ensuring resiliency in an era of escalating global hostilities. And Canadian companies are heavily reliant on US-based cloud providers and data centers, and this is going to include AI as well. With US infrastructure likely to be prime targets, businesses must also consider potential political fallout, including digital trade restrictions or tariffs. So what's the bigger picture here? It's resiliency over perfection. While this report focuses on national security, one thing is clear: the Canadian Spy Agency is concerned about our vulnerable economy caught in the crossfire. Are businesses prepared for the risks ahead, or are they still operating under the illusion of stability and reliability? Tools and technologies are critical, but the real priority is a shift in mindset, From head in the sand or chasing unattainable perfection to building resilience against inevitable business disruption. Whether it's simplifying IT systems, diversifying vendors, or preparing for geopolitical fallout, businesses should assess how resilient they truly are.